headed by Honorable Jimmy Akena, is sending militant solidarity greetings.
Wow.
Together with the UPC people at the headquarters and in the diaspora and across the country. They are following very keenly and they are very happy.
Wow.
And I need to reveal to you that the UPC ideology class has opened its website, and all the debates we have had with the Family TV are shared there.
That is really interesting.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. So our topic is laid down. We are going to discuss the fate of the parliamentary dignitary here in Uganda. How do you see our parliament currently? It might be for starters.
Yeah, for starters, they are seeing things which are a bit very strange. But if you are to dig this state, this country they call Uganda, I think we have lacked the consensus on several crucial points over generations and generations. So our misbehavior in Parliament, or our lack of agreement in Parliament, it is not something which has just started yesterday. It is something which can be traced, and the researchers should really try to help us to come out of it. Okay? Uganda has had a situation where compromise is not possible. This was before the coming in of the white man, if I'm to be more historical. Okay? And when you come to the dynamics at play during the state formation at that time before the coming in of the white man, was that we had a giant Bunyoro Chitala kingdom. That giant Bunyoro Chitala started suffering effects of breakaway. Buganda breaking away, Toro breaking away, and the Ankole breaking away. But they are not breaking away after negotiations. They are breaking away using Chitala. Did not stop there. Some of it was prolonged to the independence. That is how we have the issue of the lost counties, and how it became a big problem for any younger government. Then, of course, in the confusion of the white man trying to implant himself, again, compromises, dialogue, understanding, interactions of Ugandans was tested to the limit. And this is how you ended up with the society divided at the center. And this division of the society at the center along political, religious lines did not settle down very well. I'm sure every year we go for a pilgrimage to Namugongo. That is June 3rd. And the essence of it is to remember, is to commemorate those darker ages in the country. But it is a unique situation. I don't think there is any pilgrimage in Africa apart from Uganda of that nature. And it came when the politics of the country could not work together. And the consequences were that. Okay? And in the end, it formed a lot of challenges. Okay? Now, whatever happened that time to have the matters, those issues did not go away. They continued transforming and evolving themselves, such that throughout the colonial period, we are having that sort of politics where we are pulling each other. And ultimately, it is going to have a national impact or reflection. Okay? And now, the white man came and settled in and said, okay, this is the country I have found. I have found when they have these traditional rivalries and weaknesses, I'm going to jump in and see how best I can exploit them. And I would prefer to run a system of indirect rule. So as a nation, we are not brought together. Mutoro lived on his own, Muganda lived on his own, Elangi lived on his own, Anacholi lived on his own. Okay, yet time was ticking. Time was ticking. Time was tweaking. And the dynamics globally were also starting to change. Remember, this time Uganda had participated fully in the Second World War. And whatever exposure, whatever experience which came in, it could not be reversed back, okay? And you find that now agitation is starting for real respect of freedoms, respect of democratic rights, and the control of the government to achieve much. But much as that one is coming, the divisions which happened before are a real roadblock. And if I'm not mistaken, even the opportunity we are given that Ugandans, can you now try your democracy and you elect your leaders? That was in 1958. But the voices from Buganda Kingdom were very clear that we don't vote on a Kabaka. And the chance to allow us to democratize, to practice democracy, Buganda objected in 1958. The elections, okay, which was to pave a way. Then again, similar elections were held in 1961, which Democratic Party won. Still, Buganda objected. Your parents may have been in existence. They remember those serious wars which happened. And this time, they could go for your plantation, they could go for your livestock, and they cut it down. That was just to show you that to accept democracy to work is going to be a very serious contestation, okay? But that contestation is not very much different from whatever phases we have been undergoing. Then, of course, eventually we had the 1962 elections, which gave us the independence, and at the same time also, we had a constitution full of compromises, okay, which to enable us, because at one point, Buganda was saying, if I'm not given the politics which can defend the throne, then I'm not part of the independence movement. So some arrangements had to be done, how best to bring in Buganda. And Buganda was brought in by designing a sort of semi-federal arrangement of the constitution, which of course was a bit unfortunate, though it helped to solve the situation. It gave an impression that Buganda could veto, could go against any national decision. Then at the same time also, Bunyoro, which I started with, okay, which had shrunk, was saying we are not going to be part of the independence struggle if we are not assured of our lost counties. But because now things were coming at a round table discussion in Lancaster, Britain, a way was found which made it a constitutional requirement that not more than 2 years after independence, organize a referendum. Okay? Organize a referendum. Yes, we agreed on that, and we are ready to organize a referendum. But now some forces came in, especially from Menga and the Kabaka establishment. And to handle the situation was to make a ruling that we go back to the people who voted in 1962 to part in the referendum. And the referendum questions were three. Are you ready to go back to Bunyoro? Are you ready to remain in Buganda? Are you ready to be neutral? As soon as the results came out, there was a lot of discontent from the Buganda's experience. And the discontent is coming that Buganda had never lost any single inch of territory. And since it has never lost any single inch of territory, the graph was always going up, and Buganda had only started from 2 counties, that is Chadondo and Busiro. Now, to explain to them, to be caught up at that time that you are part of the administration, it was a real serious crisis. And indeed, the Prime Minister of that time in the Buganda Kingdom and his cabinet lost power because of the lost counties issues. And then from there, Buganda Kingdom and others cashed in, especially Ivingira, to say, we can reverse whatever has happened. But that now, we are going against the constitutional spirit. And indeed, with the time, the 1962 constitution got destroyed, got damaged, got discarded. But it is getting destroyed, getting discarded by the very people who signed it, who worked round the clock to get it. Dr. Apollo Bilton Obote was shedding tears and saying, this is my child. Binaisa, his Attorney General, was saying, your child is already dead. You just bury your child in a decent manner. Okay? So you are seeing now that a crisis has come, even a national document like a constitution, where we got our independence, it is in tatters, it is in chaos. And when it came to folding up the constitution, a lot of revolutionary measures took shape. The office of the vice president, the president was ceremonial, were all suspended. And the office of the prime minister and the president were put into one. And a new constitution, interim one, was put in place. Okay. However, we indeed happy that very difficult situations were handled with some positive results, and that 1966 interim constitution, which most people refer to as pigeonhole constitution, raised the bar to some issues. Because now Uganda was degenerating to be administered as under a decree. But we survived that. And we allowed the parliament to transform itself into CA, Constituency Assembly. And they continued to debate for 8 months this 1966 interim constitution, or pigeonhole constitution, which eventually brought in the Republican Constitution of 1967. And this Republican Constitution, which came in, now abolished the kingdoms. Okay. Which, of course, is now a big challenge which is being debated. Was it right? Was it what? Of course, it abolished the political kingdoms, and today kingdoms are restored under a cultural arrangement. But you could see that the tension was building. But the credit I give from that phase, much as the tension was building, the society or the country did not lose direction. It said the people who are discussing these issues, the representatives in the parliament, let them be tasked to dialogue at whatever cost. And you never found parliament closing. Okay. And you never found MPs intimidated that either you will be thrown out of parliament, you will do what? Yes, you will say that the 5 ministers were arrested, but there were issues why they were arrested. The rest were not arrested. Okay, so the parliament continued to function, the central government continued to function, the judiciary continued to function. And yet all that crisis was designed to overthrow a sitting government. Okay. Okay.
I think that is really an interesting background.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. To see where we are right now.
Yes.
Depending on the circumstances. People shouldn't think this is just happening now.
It is not just happening now.
Maybe now, let's now dive to the current parliament.
Yes.
This kind of, okay, now the opposition is on boycott. Do you think there's anything affecting majorly in the implementation of what the parliament, the sittings are supposed to do, or things? Is there any effect of the opposition to boycott?
Parliament is a key institution, and being a key institution, we need really to protect it. And it also needs to give a lead, to take an initiative. And whether there are some issues boiling up, they should sit back and reflect. Because today's issues, okay, they are not per se centered on the parliament. These issues, it is the parliament raising issues to the executive, okay? And these executive and the judiciary and the parliament, they are supposed to work hand in hand. Now it seems there is a lack of communication or lack of information, okay? But the crisis now is about the 18 missing people or abducted people. And the sort of situation, how it came up, okay, goes back that almost all the processes were not well handled by those who are supposed to handle them very well, okay? We know under our laws, okay, which are written in the Constitution, whether penal code, whatever language you want to go for, okay, anybody is arrested with an arrest warrant, okay? A moment you ignore that and you start arresting your citizens minus arrest warrants, other people will come in and cause confusion, and it is difficult to follow up cases. Because when you arrest with an arrest warrant, all government agencies which are connected, they know. And they will know that so and so was arrested and is kept here and there. And in any case, if he is sick, okay, he will still be taken to any government hospital and be protected or be guarded, such that people will see the transparency. But for some good time, we have seen people arrested anyhow, okay? And when they are arrested anyhow, with minus an arrest warrant, minus identification, you don't even know where they are taken. And the relatives, the friends, and what have you start moving from one point to another point. And at the same time also, our constitution is very clear that if somebody is arrested, that person should be produced in the courts of law not more than 48 hours. And if there is any delay, okay, it has to be discussed within the courts, and the courts extend, okay? Well, the one representing the government says, no, we are not yet ready, we are extending, we are requesting the magistrate or the judge to help us, okay? But now, that situation has not been handled as it is supposed to be handled. And it is sucking in a lot of players, indeed. And it should be treated as a national issue. And it should not be seen in the context that it is a national unity platform versus government. It is a national issue because those are citizens of Uganda.
Now, why do you think the government is so silent on it? Because you can see the boycott is taking long. Why do you think the government is giving it a deaf ear?
Normally, when you are in government, you have a lot of pressures. I suspect that there are a lot of pressures building up in this situation. And when such type of pressures build up, I'm sure the government is trying to do the investigation to find out, okay? On a number of occasions, some of the suspects have been apprehended. And when they are produced before the courts of law, at times they are not in the best shape. And in most cases, the government side has lost cases, okay, because of the way the suspects are looking. Now it is very, very difficult to know the actual state of condition for those suspects, and if at all they are there, okay? But it is a very, very regrettable development at this material time, when last time we celebrated Uganda at 61 years, to have that situation where your citizenry cannot be traced, okay, cannot be traced, and even the information flow, when such issues are coming up, it is as if it is provocative, it is as if it is annoying, because you have to put yourself in the shoes of the people who are searching for their relatives, who are searching for their parents, who are searching for their uncles. When you put yourself in that, then you can know the sort of answers you should give. And you have to be very compassionate with this situation, okay? And we don't know what the government has in stock. But some of these issues, they don't look very, very, how can I put it? They don't look as if these people were arrested on these big cases or capital cases. It is as if the cases tended to be more of politics, more of what? Because why I'm trying to draw a line is this. We had a situation of people like Yibingira, what? The time they were arrested and taken for detention, whether it is detention without trial, okay? You could see that Yibingira is a key player. Apollo Lumu is a key player. And they are being charged for overthrow of the government. And there is some information coming in leading to that direction, okay?
But here there is...
but here I am, even if the cases were heavy, this is not the way it should have been handled, okay? There is a way it should have been handled in the first place. Okay. Because even when it is war, okay, serious war, you will get prisoners of war officially accounted and protected, and the United Nations Agency, Red Cross Agency will come and see the prisoners of war. That is one angle. When it is bodies which are found, like the way when you are going, is it towards Rugazi, you will find a grave of bodies which cannot be identified. Okay? Then when others have gone missing, again they will say missing persons. Okay? Such that even within the serious war, like the one we had of 1978-79, of the overthrow of Idi Amin, there was that sort of audit, and there was that sort of explanation. But here we are in a situation where it is not a civil war, where it is not a crisis, okay? But people are getting lost one by one. Which means that our independence at 61 is having a lot of question marks.
Now, let us first go back to Parliament.
Yes.
How the Honourable, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament is taking the Parliament. People are complaining out there, because if you could listen to views of people, like for her now she's doing what she wants. Like, how do you feel that? How would you respond to that person who says the speaker is doing what she wants, because of the way she responds to the parliamentarians and all that?
I think Uganda indeed generally is having a very serious crisis. And the crisis we are having is not even a crisis of the parliament as such. Almost any segment of the society is having a big challenge. Okay. Parliament has just come in the spotlight. Our main challenge now we are having, and I have told the people, is that we are having the youngest population almost in the world. Okay, where there is a 70–80% is part of that youngest population. Now, this youngest population, unfortunately, has not had the right mentorship. The mentorship which was supposed to be there, okay, to hold the country together, got interrupted with the experiences we have bypassed. For instance, we had, a time from 71 to 79. When did you ever mold the young ones? Parliament was not there. Okay? So, that one also has its pull. Amin may have gone in 1979, but his negative legacy is still eating up the society. Then we had a bit of normalization of this culture of multipartism between 80 to 85. Okay? But since that period was confronted with the reconstruction, with the rehabilitation of the economy, with almost trying to put everything in place, again the opportunity to concentrate on democracy and politics was limited. Okay, but much as again it was limited, we had another serious civil war within the country. Okay. Then when the Rutwazi came in, of course it was putting back the gains. Now when we have a new government in 26 January 1986, they switched off political parties. Okay. And when you switch off political parties, it means you are declaring that as people of different diversities, backgrounds, you cannot live together. You cannot practice what you are supposed to practice. And that situation went on for the next 20 years. So upon opening political parties, our younger population did not have a point of reference. And since they did not have a point of reference, it is very difficult to pick up the bearings. And since it is difficult to pick up the bearings, that is how now you come up with such fallouts, with such outbursts, okay, which are not supposed to be there in the first place, because our leadership is more based on political parties and MPs, okay, which are important in the governance of the country. They are shareholders, okay? They are shareholders in their own right, and they are representatives of the people. They are the heartbeat of the people. So since they have that sort of mandated role, they need to enhance situations of discussion, of dialogue, of moving forward, and mutual respect. Okay? A parliament is not like a primary school where a head boy will come and talk tough. A head girl will come and talk tough. A class captain will come and talk tough. Okay? But those people at primary, they talk tough with the issues, because for them, A is A, and B is B. Okay? But now here, you cannot handle your parliamentarians in such an extreme way or in such a manner which marginalizes or punishes them. And yet at the same time, they have an issue they are presenting, which issue you have to solve. You cannot sweep it under the carpet. And all our constitutions, whether of 1962, 1966, 1967, 1995, they are in total agreement that issues of human rights or fundamental rights are on top of everything. So if they are on top of everything, why don't you give an opportunity to discuss this matter and discuss it conclusively? If it is unfortunate that maybe our people in the process, either they got battered or lost life, let some statements, however difficult, come out with the information. That one calms down the situation. Okay. So, in a way, I call for maturity on part of the speaker, and I would like a situation where the entire parliamentary leadership, especially on top, the commissioners, the leaders of opposition, the chief whips, somehow they sit and see the issues. Okay? Because for them, much as they have used the parliament to project that issue will eventually go back to the executive. It is the executive which is being put in the spotlight. Where are these people? And any legitimacy of any government, first and foremost, to protect the citizens and their property. Okay. And even when they are swearing in, they make an oath towards those core values. Now, why is this situation now making them to ignore those core values?
Okay, that is interesting. Now,
yes.
I want to pose this question. Where does this leave the voters, mostly the boycott? Because the parliamentarians are supposed to represent people's issues. Where does this leave the voters? Because people could even think that maybe when 2026 comes in, we have to make decisions. Where does this leave the voter?
I think we are a bit unfortunate that ever since our politics got too much commercialized, the voters are more or less stopping or ceasing to be key players. They are normally called in when it is time for elections. Sure. And after elections, they are normally ignored. Okay? Such that we have that big challenge of our voters not being seen as our masters. And yet in the actual sense, the voters are our masters. And us, now I'm talking in the context of MPs, we are supposed to be servants to the voters. If the relationship between elected leaders and those who elect them is not smooth, we are bound to have issues. We are bound to have issues. People may start developing discontent. And when people start developing discontent, okay, they can decide to vote with annoyance, which in modern language is known as a protest vote. Okay. They can come with annoyance that whatever is going on, we don't want it. And they cast their vote. Now it is very, very difficult to handle that situation. Okay. I think in 2021, we had that type of voting in Buganda. Yes. I was at my polling station in Kaboja, where I was voting for. People were not interested in knowing who is standing here. They were just asking us, where is the umbrella? Okay? Where is the umbrella? And in our polling station of Kaboja A, NUP did exceptionally very well. Okay?
So that is a protest vote.
Yes, it was a totally protest vote. And this protest vote also, we had it here in 1980. Buganda decided to vote DP overwhelmingly. I think UPC only won about two seats. That is the Mugwisa, and I think one. Other seats came later in the by-elections which followed. But 10th December 1980, it was a total protest vote. Okay? And it was a clear sweep for DP in Uganda. Okay? But that was coming from all the past grounds. Now here, the question you have asked, an ordinary voter is seeing these developments. Okay? He's interested in seeing the outcome. Where are these people?
Yes.
You are not producing them. You have a parliamentary impasse, which unfortunately may end up causing a very big constitutional crisis. Why am I saying it may cause a very big constitutional crisis? Our constitution allows us to demonstrate. Okay? And at the same time, the role of an MP is not to sit in plenary alone. There are other functions he or she does. Okay? Now to come and you say that stop all that and don't even go to the committees and don't even present your situation, it is not good. In most of these countries which overcome those type of issues, there is always advocacy, okay, where you can make really the real noise. And then at the same time also, there is lobbying or dialogue. Now it is as if both sides, opposition and the government side, they have gone for advocacy. The room for dialogue, the room for discussion has been blocked. Yet we need the two at the same time. We need the two at the same time. In this situation, it is more of a show of strength, which is taking the upper hand. But we need to create room.
Okay. Indeed. This is really interesting.
Yes.
Still here with Professor Lwanga, the head of ideology and documentation at the UPC, and of course the conversation is still flowing, though we are going in for a very short break, then a return.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Welcome back. You're still watching Issues at Hand here at Chat of Uganda Family TV, and today we are discussing the fate of parliamentary dignity in regards to the current state of our parliament here in Uganda. You know what is happening. Lots of boycotting, lots of disrespect. This parliamentarian jumps on this one like the whole of that. What is the fate of our parliamentary dignity here in Uganda? Of course, I'm still with Professor Lwanga Christopher here with me, who is the head of ideology and documentation at the Uganda People's Congress Party. Now, Professor,
Yes, please.
I want to know the kind of implications this kind of the dignity of the kind of parliament we're having. What implications is it bringing to the overall democracy of the country?
Actually, our founding father in 1980, he commented about the parliament which was formed. And one of his remarks was that our parliamentarians who were elected, most of them were coming from academic world and were coming from business world.
Okay.
Now, when you have such a type of people in academics, they are talking of first and second degrees. In business, they are having money bags. At times, those are not good politicians.
Okay.
And if you watch clearly our parliament, and to be very open with it, this one has more of those ingredients than the one of 1980. Yet, Dr. April Milton Obote complained.
Wow.
And he was saying the main opposition political party, Democratic Party, has brought more academicians in the parliament, has brought more businessmen in the parliament. Now, the way those people look at issues is slightly different, quite different from a career politician.
Okay.
A career politician will have that perseverance, will have that endurance, and will have a nation at heart at whatever cost. Okay?
And that is the challenge we have right now. I think
Yes, we have that
you have
challenge.
so many of them. You find
Yes.
journalists, you find the farmers. like
Yes, they are coming from those specialized disciplines, business and academia. Okay? Yes, politics requires a lot of suffering. Politics requires a lot of imagining, a lot of thinking of the ordinary people, taking the society into total consideration. But our friends in most cases who are that, we have that sort of problem.
Okay.
And at the same time also it goes back, okay, that they are even more younger in age. So a degree of tolerance in most cases is not easy. I have an opportunity that at the party headquarters within UPC, I have a department which deals directly with the youth, especially with the UPC ideology school. The psychic of young people, yes, they have the energy, they have the zeal, but they tend to be intolerant.
Okay.
So you have to really push them against the wall to make them appreciate being tolerant. In most cases, they tend to have that jacket of being stubborn, of being intolerant, okay? And they learn through by experience. You cannot blame them. either. So that is a national challenge we are having at this material time. The dignity of the parliament will get more and more eroded away if maturity does not step in. We need this maturity to step in. And this cuts across. You cannot say that it is an issue of opposition politics or an issue of, it cuts across. And since it cuts across, we are having a more difficult problem. But it can be handled through mentoring people. And then the other element which we are having, which is causing another serious crisis, now to qualify and become an MP, you find that you have put in personal resources in the range of around 90% or 95%. Our political parties are doing nominal contribution. Now, when I have come in parliament and I have spent maybe 500 million, okay, apart from serving people who elected me, I will be more concerned with this money I have spent heavily, how it is brought back. That is when I have made it to parliament. And at the same time, I must be aware that to come back, I need to double my effort. Since it is the language of money talking, suppose in the process you discover that you cannot double your effort financially. What happens? What creeps in? Frustration, what have you, and knowing you are going to be a one-time MP. And still our MPs, we have brought a weighing scale, okay, which is too much loop-sided, and it is causing a lot of tension among them. This time we expect an MP to bury by making a solid contribution in the constitution for the people who have died. We expect an MP to pay school fees, not for only a few people, but a majority of people. In case the road is so bad, he's supposed to buy culverts. Okay? There are so many other issues which have come in to swallow up an MP. And when an ordinary voter is voting, is saying, that one has not worked. But that is not the work of an area MP. That at times the work of the local government and the central government. But you find that it has been pushed to an MP.
But people don't know these things. Don't you think still it is the MP who is supposed to inform them?
Yeah, they don't know, but an MP also does not have the capacity of traversing the entire constituency to inform people or to do civic education.
Okay.
It is the Electoral Commission, the government agencies which are supposed to do civic education.
Yes.
And when you don't have civic education, we are bound to have all these sort of situations.
Okay.
We are bound to have all these sort of situations.
Now let's talk about in this current parliamentary dignity we're talking about.
Yes.
Talk about public trust.
The public, as usual, has been very much forgiving.
Oh.
The public, as usual, has always shared in the tribulations of the country. And the public is not hostile. If the public was to be hostile, by now the MPs would not be well received in our communities. But the public understands that the problem is inside the leadership of the parliament.
Okay.
And when you talk about the public is equally disturbed. And they are starting this talk. If elections mean people being beaten up, if elections means people being abducted, maybe we can find a better way of doing these elections. And the public is having a set of electoral reforms they are suggesting. And one of the electoral reforms they are suggesting, they are saying this entire army should be pulled out from the electoral process. And if we are to deal with the forces, let us deal with the police force.
Yes.
Okay? And let the violence not be perpetuated. Okay? So the public is having issues. It is demanding both the government and the parliament.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, maybe as we conclude, could you be having any recommendations in regards to beautifying the dignity of this current parliament?
I think with this sort of pressure which is there, we may need for a bigger we may go for a bigger approach. UPC has recommended Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Okay.
Truth and Reconciliation Commission gives you an opportunity to bring everything on the table and you look at it objectively, minus feeling offended, minus denials. We need to reach that level. And we need also to draw lessons that northern Uganda was so hot and had been a war zone for 20 years. But it is not the force, it is not the military which calmed down the situation. It was through serious protracted discussions which our regional governments invested in. Okay?
Yes.
If the guns could go silent in northern Uganda and people start living a normal life, why don't we borrow that leaf? Why don't we address issues more maturely?
Wow.
Okay? That is our message from UPC, that let us dialogue, let us have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, let us be honest. Let us be honest with ourselves. We are not having a civil war in the country. If there was a civil war, maybe you are saying that yes, it is the martial laws which we are following. But now we are not having that war.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor. It has been really interesting. The fate of our parliament, really, the dignity it has currently, mostly in public. You know, the public has its own views on the current parliament, and it's what we've been discussing. And of course, I trust that the professor has really done as well. We truly thank you for always making it here and giving us your words of wisdom. He is the head of ideology and documentation at the UPC party. Thank you for keeping it to issues at hand. My name is Luke Majumba. The night have been powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, a place where everyone should really visit, because by the way, any of this weekend I'm going to go there and try it out because I want to see their gym. Have a good morning and stay well.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.